Counterstrike is one of the most popular competitive shooters in the world, and also one of the most misunderstood if you're coming in fresh. So let's break down exactly how it works before we even touch anything else. Each match is between two teams of 5 players. One team plays as the terrorists and the other team plays as the counter-terrorists. Simple enough. The two teams swap sides partway through the match, so you'll be playing both roles. The terrorists have one task: plant a bomb at one of 2 designated locations on the map called bomb sites, referred to as bomb site A and bomb site B. The counter-terrorist job is to stop them, either by preventing the plant entirely or by defusing the bomb after it's been planted. Each round lasts 1 minute and 55 seconds. If the terrorists plant the bomb, a 40-second countdown timer starts. The CT side needs to defuse the bomb in that window, or it goes off and the terrorists win the round. If the time runs out before the bomb is planted, the counter-terrorists win automatically. And if either side loses all 5 players before the bomb is planted, the opposing side wins that round as well. Rounds are fast, intense, and every second matters. But here is where CS separates itself from most shooters: money. After every round, both teams earn cash, more for winning, less for losing. That money is spent at the start of the next round to buy weapons, armor, and utility like grenades. This means CS isn't just a shooting game, it's also a resource management game. You will play 12 rounds per side and then switch to the opposite team. At the end of it all, you want to be the first team to win 13 rounds. CS doesn't have a class system or character abilities like some other shooters. Everyone has access to the same weapons and tools, but that doesn't mean roles don't exist. They absolutely do. They're just defined by how your team plays together, not by what the game has made you pick. This means the game relies very heavily on raw skill. Most players will naturally gravitate towards playing a certain role as they feel comfortable, and that's totally fine. But at the beginner level, the most important thing is just being aware that certain plays exist, so you're not running in blind, wondering why your team falls apart. Counter-Strike maps aren't just arenas, they're puzzles, and both teams are trying to solve the same puzzle from opposite sides. Once you understand how maps are structured, the game starts to make a lot more sense. Maps are built around paths called lanes. One path leads to the A site, one leads to the B site, and one runs through the middle of the map. This isn't an accident, it's intentional design that forces both teams into decisions every single round. Do you split your team, commit to one site, use the middle to gain advantage, etc, etc. These map structures are the backbone of every round. The counter-terrorist side typically starts closer to the bomb sites. Their default job is to anchor, hold positions near the bomb site so that if terrorists push, there's someone there to stop them. Usually you'll see 2 or 3 counter-terrorists holding sites, while the others play more aggressively in the middle or gather information on where the terrorists are going. The terrorists, however, don't have the luxury of waiting. The clock is always running against them, so they need to make reads, come up with strategies, and apply pressure in the correct places, and eventually commit to taking a bomb site. A T side that wanders around without a plan will run out of time every single round. Once the terrorists get onto a site, the bomb has to be planted inside a specific marked area, the bomb zone. You can't just drop it anywhere. The plant takes a few seconds to complete, which means the T side needs to have the site under control before they commit to it. Otherwise, they're just standing still while getting shot. Every map has what you would call a meeting point, spots where the two teams are guaranteed to run into each other in the early round. These are natural choke points built into the map's design. These early duels often determine which team has momentum going into the rest of the round. Speaking of which, every spot on every map has a name. These callouts are how players communicate during a round. Instead of saying something like "there's a guy near the broken wall by the left side of the blue building near boxes," you just say short, cat, jungle, etc. You won't know all of these starting out, and that's completely fine. You pick them up normally just by playing and listening. But the sooner you start learning them, the faster your communication and your gameplay starts to improve. And one last thing about maps. They aren't perfectly balanced, and the Counterstrike community is perfectly fine with that. Some maps are considered CT-sided, meaning the defense has a natural advantage in how the map is built. Others are T-sided, where the attackers have more options and easier paths to site. This is part of why starting on the right side of the map and winning a pistol round can matter so much. You'll hear players talk about winning the side they needed to win. Now you know what that means. Utility in Counter-Strike is not an afterthought. Utility is a core part of every single round. Teams win and lose based purely on how well they use it. Each one does something completely different, and together they're how teams and players control space, take fights, and execute onto sites. You can carry up to 4 grenades at once, 1 smoke, 1 explosive grenade, 1 Molotov, and up to 2 flashbangs. That's it. So every round you're making a decision. Do you spend your money on a better gun, or do you invest in utility to support your team? Let's break each one down. The smoke grenade is probably the single most important piece of utility in the game. When it lands, it blooms into a large sphere of smoke that completely blocks line of sight. You can't see through it, and neither can anyone on the other side. This lets you cross open ground safely, cut off a defending player's angle, or section off parts of the map during an execute. They last about 18 to 20 seconds, so timing matters. Throw it too early and it clears before you need it. And one more thing, a well-placed explosive grenade can dissipate a smoke for a short period of time. This is a trick both sides use to either reclaim a sightline or disrupt an execute. The Molotov or incendiary grenades set an area on fire. Any players standing in the flames take continuous damage fast enough to be lethal if they don't move. This makes them incredible for clearing spots you can't see, like corners, common hiding spots, and default plant spots without ever having to peek it yourself. They're also a powerful delay tool. A Molotov thrown at a doorway or choke point will stop a push cold for a few seconds while it burns. It's also important to know that Molotovs are extinguished by smoke grenades, either throwing a Molotov into a smoke or by throwing a smoke onto a Molotov. That's something to keep in mind when the two interact. The flashbang blinds anyone who is looking at it when it pops, and it doesn't care which team they're on. A bad flash that pops in front of your own teammates is just as blinding as one thrown at the enemy. When it works, it whites out the screen completely and kills the audio for about 3 seconds, long enough for your team to push through and take the fight before the defender recovers. The key detail, you have to be looking at it. Experienced players learn to look away the moment they hear a flash cooking, which is why good flashes are thrown around corners, off walls, or timed to pop just as a player has no time to react. The HE grenade is the most straightforward of the 4. It's just an explosion that deals direct damage. It won't one-shot a full health player, but it doesn't need to. HEs are best used to chip enemies before a push, finish off a low health player behind cover, or combine with a Molotov to accelerate damage. Now let's chat about money, because mismanaging money is one of the most common mistakes players make, and it costs teams rounds they should be winning. Every half starts with a pistol round. Both teams start with the same amount of money, $800, which isn't enough for a rifle, so everyone is working with pistols, light armor, and maybe grenades. Pistol rounds matter enormously. Win one and you roll into the next round with bonus cash and momentum. Lose one and you're already playing catch up. Next, you've got a buy round, and that is exactly what it sounds like, a round where your team has enough money to fully kit up. That means rifle, full armor with a helmet, and pieces of utility, and if you're on counter-terrorist side, a defuse kit. This is your team at full strength. When both sides are buying, the round comes down to strategy, aim, and utility usage, the way Counter-Strike is meant to be played. When your team loses a few rounds and funds are running low, you might not be able to afford all of these items. At that point, you have 2 options. To force buy, meaning you spend all of your money even if it's not enough, or eco, which means deliberately spending as little as possible to save your money in order to buy in the next round.
Hello, I like money.
An eco round usually means pistols only, and the goal isn't to win the round, it's to bank enough money so that the next round everyone can full buy. However, this doesn't mean that you can't win an eco round. This has absolutely happened before.
We lose to Glocks! Fucking Glocks! Holy shit! Glocks!
You need to make sure you are buying armor every round you can afford it. This is non-negotiable. Armor absorbs a significant portion of incoming bullet damage, helmets protect you from being one shot to the head, and also it prevents aim punch. A player with no armor is at a massive disadvantage in every gunfight. Buying a rifle without armor is worse than buying a cheaper gun with armor. Counterstrike is really basic at its core, but it can go as deep as you want it to go. So, get to playing, get to practicing, and enjoy yourself.